Today we're talking about PT boats. Ladies and gentlemen, they are the fastest and pound for pound most heavily armed naval vessels of World War II. Speaking of heavily armed, this video is brought to you by the Sonoran Desert Institute, the best way to heavily arm yourself with an education in gunsmithing and firearm technology. They offer both online and hands-on training, allowing you to earn your certificate in gunsmithing or even up to your associate's degree in firearm technology. And best of all, both of those programs are pre-approved to accept most VA benefits. So whether you're looking to start your career or just expand your education, be sure to check out sdi.edu. Alright, back to the boats. PT stands for Patrol Torpedo. And unfortunately, many of you would probably only recognize these boats as the small one from the Battleship board game. I bet you can all tell me that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell though, can't you? What you don't realize is that small piece of molded plastic represents the boats credited with downing the first enemy plane at Pearl Harbor. And from that moment on, they would continue to engage the enemy in close naval warfare more frequently than any other type of ship or crew in World War II. Which is made even more impressive when I tell you that the Battleship board game pieces are made nowhere near to scale.
Liar!
The PT boats are much smaller. Crewed by only 12 men, they were 72 to 81 feet in length and only weighed approximately 50 tons. They are essentially just large speedboats covered in guns. To put that into perspective, the world's biggest shitty submarine, the Yamato, weighed approximately 65,000 tons, meaning that it was quite literally 1,300 times larger than a PT boat if you go by weight. And large capital ships like the Yamato were much more scared of them than they were of it. These boats were so fast they were almost untouchable. They were equipped with 3 12-cylinder airplane engines that could burn up to 500 gallons of high-octane gasoline an hour, making them arguably the fastest naval vessels used in World War II. Buh! You know the Soviets had an even faster boat, it was called the G5. Buh. Yeah, well, first of all, that was a prototype that wasn't widely used. And second of all, I'll start giving a shit as soon as you can find a Soviet electrician that's willing to make a video about it. Oh, wait. Anyways, American PT boats, fast as fuck. And they were absolutely armed to the teeth. The earliest models from the factory came with 2 dual 50 caliber turrets, 4 Mark 8 torpedoes, a 20mm anti-aircraft cannon, as well as some miscellaneous 30 caliber Lewis and or Browning machine guns. And I say from the factory because, well, some modifications get made along the way. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm forgetting something though. Oh, yeah, they're made out of fucking wood too. Yeah, the frame and hull are both made out of mahogany.
Smells of rich mahogany.
I'm trying to tell you, they basically LS swapped the fucking Mayflower and covered it in machine guns and then took it into battle against the largest metal monsters the world has ever seen. They would ambush enemy ships at night, fire all their torpedoes, and take off before the enemy even had a chance to retaliate. And they were so effective at this, the enemy referred to them as devil boats, or the American Mosquito Fleet. And as I'm sure you can imagine, the men that did that were fucking gangsters. These are the forefathers of what would eventually become SWCC. They were special operations before that was actually a thing. They did any and every mission that was deemed impossible or dangerous. They smuggled General MacArthur out of the Philippines through enemy-held water. On D-Day, they went out before the U-boats and used their 50 caliber turrets to shoot at floating mines so that the U-boats didn't hit them. Their beverage of choice was known as torpedo juice. They would take the fuel out of self-propelled torpedoes, distill it, and then filter it through a fucking loaf of bread, and then drink it. So when I tell you these men made some modifications of their own to the boats, it probably shouldn't surprise you. First of all, American torpedoes in World War II had intercourse with a partial vacuum. They fucking sucked. The enemy figured out that if they only transported their supplies via barge through shallow waters, most of the American ships would not be able to get to them. And the ones that could wouldn't be able to use torpedoes because barges don't go deep enough into the water. So if you did fire a torpedo at a barge, it would just go right underneath. And that is when the PT crews said, hold my torpedo juice and watch this shit. They went full freedom pirate. They just started stealing everything. Sorry, I mean strategically transferring equipment to alternate locations. Granted, every boat was different based on what the crew was able to tactically acquire. Some of these boats had mortars for that naval Yeetus Deletus, 37mm anti-aircraft cannons, 40mm Bofors. Some of them had as many as 4 dual 50 caliber turrets, and even M50 rocket launchers. PT Boat 109 famously acquired a 37mm M3 anti-tank gun from the Army and mounted it to their boat. Also worth mentioning, that very same PT Boat 109 at that time was under the command of a very young lieutenant by the name of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. If that doesn't ring a bell, you might know him as JFK, the 35th President of the United States of America. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, one of the most iconic and well-known presidents in American history was a straight-up freedom pirate, drinking torpedo juice and yoinking anti-tank guns from the Army. How's the quote go? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what me and the boys are about to do to you for our country. The 37mm anti-tank round was actually so effective that they decided to yoink an auto cannon off of a P-39 fighter plane, and use that instead. And that proved to be so effective that they started adding them at the factory. And using it, they were credited with sinking over 23,000 tons of vital enemy supplies. I'm trying to tell you the Freedom Pirates were fucking the enemy supply lines harder than Can I say that yet? You guys know what I meant. Moving on. In conclusion, the PT boats of World War II were wooden crafts crewed by iron men, and to this day, I think they are the most underappreciated part of naval warfare in World War II. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Best way to support the channel is go get some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.